we knew this was coming down the pipe, man. And I recall a little while ago that when Bill Cosby got jammed up, Cass was saying, well, let's see what they do to Harvey Weinstein. Let's do what they Harvey, see what they do to Harvey Weinstein. But those type of men who are still looking at things from the antiquated outlook of black and white. Now, although the things that really matter in this country, the laws and things like that, do have a tinge of black and white to them. When we talk about the Me Too thing, it's not black and white. It's an attack on men. Is built up as an attack on men, but it's really not an attack on men. This is not an attack on Harvey Weinstein. This is simply a man who went about shit from a beta male perspective and ended up getting this result. Same thing with Bill Cosby. He went about things from a beta male perspective and he ended up getting jammed up. See, what we got to understand is every man who does something like this or every man who's accused isn't innocent. The same way we say every man ain't guilty, every man didn't do that. Well, we can't say it. We can't really say that. Let me rephrase that. Just like women can't say every man that's accused is guilty, we can't say no man that's accused is guilty. This is the type of thing that happens to you when you prioritize sex to the point where you're willing to do anything for it. Now, let's keep two things in common. And we ain't here to judge the physical appearance of no men, but Bill Cosby nor Harvey Weinstein are what you would call heartthrobs. When you look at Harvey Weinstein, I can imagine that he's a man that no matter how much money he had, there was no woman who was just going, no woman worth having who was going to just be with him. He had to break bread. And if he wasn't willing to break bread, which a whole lot of men with paper aren't willing to break bread, then he might have to do something fairly unscrupulous and use his reach, use his power, use his prestige. I'm not gonna sit and look at these guys and say that I believe they can have the same effect on women that I can have. Because if I wasn't me, I probably wouldn't say that. But let's get into the particulars of this. Because one thing I do believe is that there has to be a statute of limitations on things. And I've been saying that ever since the Bill Cosby thing. There has to be a statute of limitations on these types of things. Now, on Wednesday morning, after the testimony of the two primary victims, Harvey Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in New York State prison. You know what I'm saying? Rikers Island. Now, he was convicted of committing a criminal sexual act in the first degree and third degree rape. Now, the trial began on January 6th, which is fast as hell. For all that money he got, they were going to get him in and out of there. Now, it's interesting he didn't testify in his own trial, but I understand that. When there's incriminating enough evidence, you don't want to testify in your own trial. That was one thing. Because if you didn't have anything to do with it and it didn't go down like that, man, I'm going to take the stand. I don't care what my attorneys say. I'm taking the stand, man. If I know I'm being lied on, I'm jumping on the stand. But when there's enough things tying you into a scenario, it's not wise for your people to put you on the stand because that cross examination, man, it'll put you in the cross. Now, of course, he's going to be registered as a sex offender. He was given 20 years on the first degree count of criminal sexual act. Then 5 years of supervised release, like that boy's still going to be alive in 23 years or 20 years. Then on the other convicted charge, third degree rape, he was given 3 years in prison. And the sentence is consecutive, not concurrent. So when he does the 20 years, he don't do the 20 years and the 3 years at the same time. When he done with the 20 years, then he does the 3 years. Or vice versa, he does the 3, then the 20. So he's going to do the whole 23 years as opposed to running the two sentences concurrently. Now, with all that paper the boy got and all that money, I mean, with all that money and all that reach and all that prestige, man, you got to understand. If they want to make an example out of your ass, they're going to make an example out of you. Same thing with cars. Cars got plenty of paper. But you know what? They ain't worrying about it. If they want you, they're going to get you. And you got to think about it, man. Like he really literally got more time than cats I know that were convicted of murder and manslaughter. He got more time than cats that I know personally who were convicted of that. I'm talking about brothers, black men who were convicted of that. So I do believe that with the statute of limitations on this thing, man, I believe that, my thing is if you get 3 years for third-degree rape, but you get 20 years plus 5 years on papers for criminal sexual act, well, hell, third-degree rape and a criminal sexual act. It's just a weird sentencing structure. Now, in case you didn't know, right after that boy was sentenced, man, that boy damn near had a heart attack. Now, just hours after he was sentenced, he was transferred to Bellevue Hospital in New York due to chest pains. Now he's only 67 years old. He was, and he'd already been to Rikers Island. They took him straight to Rikers. He was already in Rikers. So they moved him for his safety, man. And his case is the one that jumped off the Me Too movement. You know what I'm saying? His case is the one that jumped it off. So he was in the cross first. And so he is and when I say he becomes the new poster child of the Me Too movement, it's because Bill Cosby has been that up to this point. It started with Harvey Weinstein, but Bill Cosby became the poster child because he was the first one that we knew went to prison for it. And there's other guys, man, who are coming down the pike, man, who got to deal with it. Let's not forget about Elon Musk, the Tesla guy. Let's not forget about Russell Simmons. Like, there's other guys, man, who got trials coming down the pike, man. But this one is the one that jumped it all off. Now, this guy he used a walker, which obviously means he's got significant medical issues. He's on a walker, got high blood pressure, heart palpitations. Let me tell you something, bro. When you dirty in life, then these are the type of things that happen to you. This is a 6-7-year-old white man. Now, I can see a 6-7-year-old black man with these issues, but 6-7-year-old white man, come on, man. I trained white men in their 70s and 80s. I'm talking about late 70s, early 80s. I'm gonna do 4 days of cardio, an hour a piece on an elliptical machine, and then do 3 days of weight training, 3 days of resistance training. I'm talking about bodybuilding style workouts, bro. And this boy is in bad shape, and he filthy rich. Because when you have a dirty mind, you end up with a dirty body. This boy is accused of forcing oral sex on one. And 4 other women testified as well. The thing is, man, we as men cannot be getting in our feelings talking about he didn't do nothing. How in the hell we know he didn't do nothing? How many of us were there? How many of us were there? We don't really know, man. He's 67, man, already in terrible health. Man, his life already over, man. He finna go somewhere where they're going to keep him away from the regular inmates. You know what they're going to do? Because he got no money to make that happen. He ain't gonna be in general pop, and they got somebody, they gonna house him, feed him, and take care of his ass all this time. That's all that's finna happen. They're gonna house him, feed him, take care of him all this time. That's how you ride off into the sunset. You live your life, and then when you get sick and decrepit, and you're on a walker, and your heart messed up, and probably kidneys messed up, and lungs messed up, and all that, then you go somewhere, man, and then let the state take care of you. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much all it is. His people ain't got to pay nothing for him to be taken care of for the rest of his time, and they ain't got to be burdened with the responsibility of taking care of him. So really, I still think he got off pretty easy, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you think about it, man, prison is damaging to young black men. You know what I'm saying? Because you take away a whole life. Man, this man lived his whole life, got filthy rich. got famous. So for him to go to prison now, man, it's not as big a deal as we try to make it out to be. But I will tell you this: when you put yourself in a situation where you're willing to act like sex is this amazing thing, because there is somebody he could have paid. He could have got a beautiful call girl, paid her well, and she would do whatever he wanted to do. But when you get to the point where you can't take no from a woman and you just gonna do what you want to do anyway, then you get what you deserve behind that, bro. You understand? I mean, you get that, you get whatever you deserve behind that. So, when we really think about it, man, I want y'all to remember one thing. The more you chase sex, the more you chase sex, the more likely you are to put yourself in a compromising situation. Because all this stems from these two guys chasing sex. Bill Cosby chasing sex, giving women pills. And it ain't hard to believe that Bill Cosby give women pills. Niggas give women pills now. Niggas give women date rape drugs now. Even, man, listen, even when I was a youngster, man, boys were putting Visine in women's drinks, knocking them out. Like, these things have always taken place. So how are we going to look at a man who has money and prestige and say he won't do the same thing? He the same man, just with more money. We as men got to stop standing up for ignorance and foolishness, man. All the men in Hollywood and just these few men, man, having these things take place with them. Let's not act as if men don't take it as an ego bruise when women reject them. Now, not every man, but men of power and prestige, men of means, rich men. You don't think rich men feel like, man, no woman should reject them? How dare you reject me? That's why historically in this country, women have slept their way to the top, because men have presented those options over the years. And it gets to the point where if 5 women accept that and sleep their way to the top, you expect that 6th woman to sleep her way to the top. And she'd be like, hell no, I ain't sleeping my way to the top. And then you got another one that don't want to sleep her way to the top. And this is the thing. This is the thing. If you offer a woman, or if you blackmail a woman into having sex with you when she's 21, it's still a crime. That woman can still go to the people and she can agree to it. But when she goes to the people and say that you blackmail, it doesn't matter if she agrees to the blackmail. The fact is, blackmail is illegal. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. It's like if you pull a gun on a woman and you try to make her do something, she does it. It doesn't matter that she did it. If you pull a gun on somebody and tell them empty their pockets out, turn their pockets into rabbit ears, it doesn't matter if they go ahead and give you what they got. It's still armed robbery. So in retrospect, I don't think there should be a statute of limitations on some shit. And this is one of those things I don't think there should. If you are guilty of this, there should not be a statute of limitations on it. You understand what I'm saying? Now they've gone as far as to make it to where if you're married and your wife don't want to have sex and you get a little rough with your wife and you go ahead, your wife can, like, by law, you can rape your wife. Literally, you can be convicted of raping your wife. Your wife has the right. Now, I wonder how that is when we live in this Christian society. And the Christian doctrine says that a woman can't withhold herself from her husband. Now, I'd also say the husband can't withhold himself from his wife, but you can't withhold yourself from your husband. So how is that? How is a country that's supposedly built on this Christian premise that they use whenever it's beneficial to them? How do they support that? Because we live in that world, man. YMC, salute to you, bro. Man, did I hear about him trying to go after Rick James? No, when was this? A long time ago? When they tried to go after Rick James? A long time ago? Yeah, man. Hey, man, that's right, Kobe, man. Let me tell you something, bro. Every young woman I meet is popping something. Popping something. I'm talking about all types of psychotropics, man. I'm talking about for recreation. They popping psychotropics as recreational drugs, man. They popping psychotropics like we used to smoke weed. I mean, some of us still do blow trees, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's a recreational thing. And they're brain dead, man. They're zombies. But even the same, if you give a woman some and she pop it and she pass out and you go ahead and do it, listen, even if y'all already started and that woman pass out, stop. If you with a woman and y'all inebriated and she passes out during the act that she just too inebriated, she can't stay woke, she passes out, you stop right at that point. Because you got to keep in mind, and you know this, if you ever been intoxicated to that point, motherfucker wake up in the morning and not remember what happened. And may not remember that they met you and they got with you and they blah. That's why I don't deal with women who get high and drunk. Ever. I never deal with women who get high and drunk. Ain't no way. And that's one of the major reasons. Another reason is just distasteful to me. But I don't deal with women who get high and drunk, bro. I don't want them to ever be drunk around me. I don't want them ever finna be high around me. Ever. Cause I'm not finna do no fucking mouth to mouth. So if something happened to her and she pass out or she, bitch throw up and choke on her own vomit, she just finna die. I know that sound cruel to some, but not to me. So, some things, man, I just don't allow around me. As far as them going to Rick James State, bro, man, that man dead. So, I ain't got a dog in that race, man. Because they ain't going at him, he dead. They going at his people, and I don't know his people. You know what I'm saying? Never heard of them. But I mean, man, Rick has a pretty volatile history from back in the day. But I mean, Rick, the difference with Rick is back in the day, Rick was a heartthrob. Rick was a heartthrob. That boy was, he was very sought after by the beautiful women of the day. So that's the difference between Rick and these guys, man. Let me tell you something, man. A rich man who gets married, a rich man who gets married. Now, some of these guys were married before they got rich, but a rich man who get married, like when Russell Simmons married Kimora Lee, I already knew two things. I knew that Russell Simmons was a man who was attracted to a woman who was bigger and looked stronger than he was, which is weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, let me tell you something. I ain't got no problem with knocking down a chick that's taller than me, but I ain't finna make her my old lady. You ain't finna see me walking around, man. I'm walking around, man, a chick taller than me and bigger than me. To me, that's just a weird look. You know what I'm saying? Man, listen, if I was 5'7", my chick gonna be 5'3". If I was 5'3", my chick gonna be 4'11". If I was 4'11", shit, we both midgets anyway. But that's all I'm saying. That's my outlook. So, I say this, man. We as men have to keep in mind one thing. Your weaknesses will be turned into weapons against you. If you have an addictive personality, at some point in your life, somewhere, something or someone is going to turn that addictive personality into a weapon against you. If you're quick to anger, then somewhere at some point in your life, someone is gonna make that quickness to anger become a weapon that they use against you. Anything you can't control controls you. And even if you're an old, rich white guy like Harvey Weinstein, your lust will eventually catch up to you. Even if you're an older, funny looking dude like Bill Cosby, eventually your lust will catch up to you. Even if you're a guy who gets on commercials and put both his feet behind his neck, like Russell Simmons, which is just weird, eventually your lust will catch up to you. So all of these guys that are ever been convicted of touching a woman are not guilty. But I can guarantee you a bunch of them are. Because one thing for certain and two things for sure. It ain't a woman on earth that want to publicly be identified as a hoe. And I can promise you that. Especially when they're already in a popular state of mind or a popular position, a famous position, a wealthy position, a position of notoriety. Man, they don't want that. And no woman wants to be tied sexually to an unattractive man. Nobody wants to be tied to that. Tell me how many young, beautiful women you think want the world to know that they be getting it in with Harvey Weinstein? How many young, attractive women you know want the world to know they be getting it in with Bill Cosby? You know what I'm saying? These are the type of things we have to look at. Yes, as men, we want to say that, okay, man, no, we just think it's an attack on men. Nah, bruh. Sometimes it's just an attack on the position that men had to think they could do anything. And then we as black men should understand that more than anybody. Because we may not have been around, but we can historically look up a time where, you know what I'm saying? I mean, shit was weird for us too. Things have changed now, but that don't mean that the scars still aren't there. Especially for somebody who had to experience some of that stuff firsthand, the scars may still be there. And that's just the reality of it, man. So, man, I didn't want to stay in here too long, man. I just wanted to go ahead and come in here and address this, man, because it just took place. And I got another one, man. I'm going to jump right back on, man, and get into this. I may do that later, man. Matter of fact, I'll do a car video later, man, on the coronavirus thing, man. So y'all be looking for that, man, because that's a weird situation too, man. That coronavirus thing, man, is weird how it's just running rampant, man. Running rampant, man. Like it's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, look here. I appreciate all y'all being in the joint, man. We're going to go ahead and get ready to slide out of here, man. I just want to come through and put something up right quick, man. So, we can talk about this thing, man. And, we'll look more into it as it develops and some of these other guys. Now, I'll tell you like this too. When he was allowed to speak to the judge, he responded, "I have great remorse for all of you. I have great remorse for all women." Then he said, "I really feel remorse for this situation. I feel it deeply in my heart." And that's it. Now, let me tell you how Tina Shen, the president and CEO of the Time's Up Foundation, which, is the foundation that supports the Me Too movement. Time's Up, time for everybody to get what they need. Now, let me tell you what she said. First and foremost, first and foremost, we are grateful for the courage and strength of Mimi Haley, Jessica Mann, Annabella Ciora, Dawn Donnie, Tara Wolf, and Lauren Young, who bravely testified in court. And we remain in solidarity with the more than 100 survivors who suffered abuse, harassment, and rape at the hands of Harvey Weinstein. The trauma and sexual assault and harassment is lifelong. We can only hope that today's sentence brings all of the survivors of Harvey Weinstein some measure of peace. Now, let me tell you something. Some of these messages are convoluted as hell. What do you mean survivor? You can only survive some shit that was going to kill you. There are cancer survivors. There are heart disease survivors. There are diabetes survivors. There are surgery survivors. There are war survivors. How are there survivors of something that wasn't going to kill them? But when you use the term like survivor, it brings people in the mind of death. So it makes this seem like it's as bad as death in people's mind because you use a term that's generally associated with the possibility and likelihood of death. And you see how she jumped in there and said with the more than 100 survivors who suffered at the hands of Harvey Weinstein, there was only 6 women who testified. So where are the other 100? Now, I do believe that he did these things, but to say that there's 100 women, I mean, listen, some of these women were, man, Ashley Judd accused him. You know, and I mean, some of these women are famous, man. I mean, but you know, he's a Hollywood guy. But I just know that when these groups, there are certain groups in this society where if they want you, they're gonna get you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. No matter how much money you got, no matter how much nothing you got, they're gonna get you. And that's just the bottom line. So, you know, I just say this, man. This is another scenario where we as men have to watch. And that's why we have to govern ourselves and we have to govern the men around us. We have to make sure that when we see these men, that we govern the men around us and we govern ourselves. We have to do it. Because many of these men can't govern themselves. And we, as the men who have the power and discernment to govern, have to govern men to make sure we keep them in line. That's just what we have to do. But you know, Hollywood is a different place anyway, man. So we're going to head on out of here, man. Hey, I appreciate everybody being in the joint, man. YMC, my brother, I appreciate you being here doing your thing, man. Early morning like this, man. And this was hella early. So we're going to get ready to slide on out this thing, man. Y'all put God first. Keep grinding and growing, my brothers. Peace. King Ray Ray in this bitch. Ha! Chuck Diesel.